Studios at the Stockyards in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Justin McKee, and joining me today is my good friend Charlie Kaupke from Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's on the board of the National Bit, Spur, and Saddle Collectors Association. Welcome to the studios.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
We've had some fun in previous segments talking about collectible bits and collectible spurs, and a lot of Western artifacts are the rage right now from a collecting standpoint. Who's the new wave of people that are collecting Western artifacts and diving into collecting?
I don't think you can put them in an age group right now. I think they're wide span. Anybody from young to old. The young people, as they grow economically, they're going to collect. And so there's just so much interest. And even in the old single action pistols, I see younger guys collecting those as well. But I see quite a few young people just collecting the bits and spurs. And so it is a growing thing. Like our president of our association at Simla, Colorado, has his own saddle museum. He's got about 400 saddles in his own private museum. So it just tweaks an interest. There's people like the rawhide quirt. This is a very old vintage quirt. I wish I knew the maker.
That is beautiful.
But you go into people's houses, and I saw saw a man buy one in Amarillo the other day. He said, my wife has a quirt collection, but there's a lot of them. The Riatas, like this one's extremely early when it came from the Russell family, the rodeo ranching family from California and Nevada. This could be close, 90 years old or something. This is a very old one. But here again, I've sold them to people for decorations, to collections, and all kinds of things like that.
From the Dan Russell family?
Yes, sir.
Western Rodeo Company?
Yes, sir.
Interesting.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man. When you have a connection with somebody that the item came from, or came from their family.
We had an auction for them several years ago. And I guess this is the only thing I ended up with out of there. But we sold Mr. Dan's collection, and so that's where this came from.
That's a beautiful piece. And there's also a lot of literature here, reference material that can help you if you're interested. You can kind of jump in and learn the history behind all the makers.
You're very true, Justin, and that's one thing we're trying to do better as an association. We've now got a YouTube page. You can go to our Facebook page, the NBSSCA, or go to our web page. But now we have a YouTube, and we're trying to put some informational videos, as well as we're going to push to put more information into our email or printed publications.
You need to shorten the name, though. This National Bit Spur Saddle Collectors Association is too long.
But most people, the first thing they're really looking for is something that'll tell them the price. That's not possible.
No.
The market changes. What's in is in today, might be out tomorrow. The bits and spurs change like women's purses. So, and what's hot and what's not. But I just want to reference just a few things. The Martin's done 3 bits. This one's on the modern makers. If you want to find Jerry Cates, Billy Clapper, these type makers are in here. They done a book on Texas makers. And that goes clear back into pre-1900s of the big rare ones. People, I've never seen a pair of their spurs. They're so rare. Then I've been selling these. We have 3 volumes of the Adolph Byers. Now, Adolph Byers died in the 70s. He revolutionized the Cowboy Texas overlay spur. He changed what spurs were for an overlay like nobody else has done in the history of the cowboy business. But if you look at the works of Billy Clapper, Jerry Cates, and carry it on down to those that they mentored, Adolph Byers is the one that changed it. R.F. Ford died in 2011. Great man, good man of God, great maker. His wife done this and showed all of his orders, who he made for, and when he made them, serial numbers, all of them. Here's one of a good reference if you want to learn about your products. These are reprint catalogs. Now, they're expensive originals, but reprints, you can buy them online, $15 to $30, and they're really good reference material to find out more about what you have. The other book laying there is an August Berman that does the same thing. So there's a lot of good reference. Lee Jacobs wrote a great book on McChesney's. It's out there, but they're not going to tell you prices, but they'll tell you when it's made and the different styles, what style you had.
Let's talk about rodeo memorabilia. This is what's going to take off, and I'm happy because I've been collecting a little of that for a few years.
Well, the one thing I've collected over the years is rodeo programs, and best place I've found them's been on eBay because there's a lot of them on there. But I won't hardly buy anything anymore if it's not back in the 40s or earlier. You know, I like the real early ones, and
tell me about a program that stands out that's very
1931 Cheyenne's the best there is because it's got a panoramic picture in the back. It's about 3 feet long.
It unfolds.
It unfolds.
Out of the program.
Out of the program. 1930 looks the same, but it don't have the panoramic. So that's my favorite.
The panoramic is in the arena with all the contestants and the personnel and the crew.
And I forgot to bring it over, but I brought some old rodeo programs. I got one from Mr. Rodeo, Cecil Cornish on the front when he put on a rodeo in the 40s at Waukomis, Oklahoma. I have the 1937 Woodward Elks because my dad, that was his program when he went there in 1937.
Wow.
But Buckles is my heart. I love Buckles.
Tell me about, there's one that catches my eye right here because this is my hometown rodeo. Actually, it's the other buckle.
Yes, sir. This one right there.
Here. This is, let's see if we can get to, let me turn it the other way. Okay, this is Coffeyville, Kansas. Which way are we going here?
1949.
Okay, I should have just left it alone. That's my hometown rodeo. That's where I got my first bull, rode my first steer in competition, and now it's my first rodeo.
Well, and that one's special to me, not only of its age, what it is, and being close to home, but it was donated by Cannon and Yoakum of Tulsa, and that was Tudor Cannon, whose saddle shop's now at the Ranching Heritage Center at Lubbock, Texas, and he became an icon out in the Caprock building saddles, became very, very famous. So that adds to me. The other one.
So that's going to add to the value when I try to buy this buckle off.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. The other one is a 1960. Now, what makes it really rare? It's a Hollins from San Angelo. They made lots of buckles. They still make buckles, but you didn't see tons of rodeo buckles. But that was one at the NIRA rodeo at Oklahoma State University in 1960 by one of the best all-around cowboys that we ever knew, and that was Ed Workman. I mean, he works the events on both ends and both sides. He could do it all. But that one came out of our alma mater, Oklahoma State University.
Tell me about this book.
That is an August Bierman reproduction. He bought out a company in 1860s or 70s, and he was back on the East Coast and had a large factory. And he built so many styles, and they're still collectible today here 140, 50 years later. His stuff's still in demand.
Okay, I can tell that I'm going to have to get with some of my friends and Troy Flay Hardy and Kerry Kelly and do a follow-up on some of these modern guys that are doing extraordinary work.
They are.
And they are collectibles as well, even if they're new editions.
There's no question. A lot of the new makers are being collected up. And you take a Ron Tollison that passed, unfortunately, last November. His stuff was being collected already. And, we hate to lose any of them. He's a great man. And I look at R.F. Ford, Jerry Cates, I've seen them. That was in 2011, and we lost both of them. So all of this stuff, it don't have to be 100 years old to be collectible.
Exactly.
But, and I'll tell you something else that affects the collectability of your product is how people like you.
Well said.
And that's
reputation goes a long ways.
Yeah, that's why the Fords and the Cates and the Tollisons
they were good people.
There's good people.
Charlie Kaupke from the National Bit, Spur, and Saddle Collectors Association. Thank you for joining us here at the Cowboy Channel.
Thank you for allowing me. I appreciate you very much.